totally based on reality. Well, I guess the idea was that we were going to do a question and answer.
Yeah, and these young ladies will bring the mic to the kids.
Fantastic.
So make your questions really brief, and your answers as well.
Hello. Right here.
I can, you know.
Right here on front.
Oh, now the lights are a little better.
Right here.
Oh, right there.
Thank you. You being in the last Indiana Jones movie made the movie.
Oh, thanks.
It truly did. I'm kind of curious if you're going to be in another one.
Oh, the future? Well, you know, there is a plan to do one more, and, you know, at least one more that Stephen will direct and one more that Harrison will be in. And other than that, you know, they are keeping the lids so tightly, you know, it's as tightly screwed on as the lid in the last scene there of the Ark. You know, I don't know whether I'm in it or not. I'm very hopeful. You know, for those of you who saw the fourth one, I don't want to create a spoiler, but we got married, Indiana Jones and Marion tied the knot in the fourth episode. So I'm hopeful that we're going to continue forward. It's been, I think, announced in the news that Shia LaBeouf is not going to be in the next one. So I don't know what happened to our son. I will figure something out, I'm sure. But I have my fingers crossed, that's all I can say. Yeah.
Well,
We have one right here.
Thank you, thanks.
I just want to say you're great. I love that. How much fact is the movie's based on, percentage-wise? Like, how much would you say is based on fact?
You know, I would say there's a little bits based on fact. There was an Ark of the Covenant, and it is something that went missing, and it was something, you know, Hitler, when he was, you know, preparing, you know, to you know, take on the world, he was gathering every sort of power object he could, and did gather many. And he was involved in trying to see if the Ark of the Covenant was something that could be found. So I think that's what sparked the story. It was based on a little bit of historical fact, and then they just elaborated from there. As far as I know, the Ark has never been found, but you know, having been in this film, I become privy to a lot of people who are still looking for it, who, you know, send information to me all the time, you know. So it is, you know, an object that people would really, really like to find.
And is Harrison Ford getting better with age?
Yes, I'll just say yes.
All right, I just want to say Marion Ravenwood is like one of my favorite childhood heroes, but do you have a favorite moment, either in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull or Raiders of the Lost Ark, that you were able to be a part of? A favorite scene, maybe?
A favorite scene? I think really my favorite, or one of my favorite scenes in Raiders, is the scene where, with Paul Freeman, where I am captive in the tent, and I decide I'm going to do my little drinking game with him, only it turns out that it's a kind of liquor that he's grown up with, and it's very potent, and Marion, instead of sort of ruling the roost, gets drunker and drunker. And I love the way that, you know, when I finally grab the knife and hold it towards him, I love him just laughing, and I just think it's a wonderful scene. Yeah.
Yes, right there.
Hi. You are amazing. The film is amazing. And I wanted to know, being such a talented artist and working with such amazing directors like Spielberg and Lucas, do you have one piece of advice you could give my husband and I as aspiring filmmakers?
Oh gosh. Well, I think, I mean, for myself, I think this is such a wonderful new world to be a filmmaker, because you have so many tools available to you that weren't available to me when I was your age. You know, you can really, you know, you can shoot a film on an iPhone, you know, and people do, and it wins awards in film festivals, and, you know, occasionally, you know, it gets a huge amount of attention and really starts off people's careers. So I would just say, you know, if you have a film you want to do, find a way to get it made. Stick close to your heart in terms of the stories that you choose to do. You know, to make a film, it's a long journey, you know, from the conception of it to getting it finished, to getting it out there into the world and supporting it as it moves, wherever it goes, to film festivals or whatever. So choose a subject matter that really means something to you, whether it's a documentary or a narrative film, or most young filmmakers, I would say start with a short film. Don't take on a feature right off the top, which occasionally people do, and I'm always sort of, really? You're really gonna do that? Why not do a few shorts, you know, get some, some experience in it before you take on a major, feature-length film.
Right here.
Sure.
Hello. Mary was such a strong female character, and I remember watching her when I was younger and being like awed because she was such against the grain. And even today at like Disney at the Indiana Jones stunt show, they introduce people to your character. How do you feel about that? Did you realize it was going to make such a big impact to people? I mean, even to this day.
I didn't realize it would have such an impact. I know it had an impact on me when I read it. I just loved this character who, her introduction in the film is that she's sitting there drinking, these big, Nepalese mountain men under the table, and that's how she's making money, and her father's disappeared, and she's sort of living there running this bar, and this man who broke her heart comes back in and she clocks him one right in the jaw. And I just thought, wow, I like that girl. But when the film, came out, and then all of the years that have, gone by since, people have come up to me over the years and told me that character gave them, as particularly young women, young girls, an enormous amount of confidence to, be strong in the world, and that's been a great source of satisfaction. I think that a film can have that effect, and such a long-lasting effect as well. It's been.
We have time for one last question, and then when Karen leaves, don't talk to her. She's got to.
Am I really going over and introducing it? Oh, I thought we decided I wasn't doing.
I thought you were going to go see Jones.
I am going to go see Jones. Yeah.
All right. So yes, right here.
Hi.
I just wanted to ask, how was your experience, filming, with the movies, and, how you felt the outcome of, how successful the Indiana Jones series is, how you thought that was, and your experience with filming or being in the movie.
This one, or both of them together, or both of them? Raiders of the Lost Ark was one of those interesting films for me because it had a level of success that, I suppose actors and directors and producers dream of, It kind of came out and took the world by storm at the time. And for actors, it's a blessing and a curse sometimes, because then you get very identified with that character. On the other hand, I didn't really mind being identified with Marion because I thought she was such an interesting character. But it certainly carries throughout your career. That becomes your identifier. It's like Karen Allen, parentheses, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Allen, So, you hope if you're in a film like that, it's a film that you like, because otherwise, it could be like a negative. But I was delighted that they asked me to come back for the fourth one. I was very moved when I read the script and saw that they decided that our characters were going to be married. It's been I would say the whole Indiana Jones thing has, it's been a huge part of my life, and I think, obviously, made a big difference in terms of me becoming very thought about for other roles along the way, because all actors need some roles like that are seen as being very successful films, and that really helps propel them, into more of a career. It's hard to be in, one little indie film after another that never gets any attention, sort of dies on the vine, which is how a lot of actors, their careers start that way. They'll do 10 films that go nowhere before they are in one that has a little bit of success. So if you're in one early on that has a lot of success, it's a very unusual scenario, and I was just very fortunate that way.
Ladies and gentlemen, Karen Allen.